Welcome back, horror fans, cinephiles, and Giallo enthusiasts. I am Tanner Leeser, your host of The King in Giallo. In this episode, I will be both reviewing and tallying Giallo film cliches for Blood and Blacklace, directed by Mario Bava in 1964. If you are unfamiliar with my Giallo film cliché list, I urge you to watch that video first, but it's not necessary. If you are already familiar with my cliches and my counting system, sit back and enjoy. Like this video and subscribe to The King in Giallo, and do ring that notification bell so those lords of the algorithm may bestow their blessing upon me and you continue to be presented with weekly Giallo content. Onto the video. I will be counting cliches before reviewing the movie, and during the review I will be counting the A to Z Giallo film cliches I observe, plus staples and signatures from the genre which come from a list I have compiled over the past decade of my own viewings. But first, a brief overview. Blood and Blacklace is Mario Bava's second full-length Giallo, third if you count the telephone segment from The Three Faces of Fear, known as Black Sabbath in the US. The movie is the first Giallo film in glorious color, and it goes above and beyond with the gorgeous colors and lights. Plus, the violence is also something not seen in the previous Giallo forays. Blood and Blacklace holds a place as one of the scariest horror films back in the day, including number 85 on Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments. The film holds up nicely when watching today and is a must-see for fans of Giallo cinema, Italian horror, and big fans of horror in general. As mentioned in a previous video, this film was more copied by other Italians during the 1970s golden age of Giallo than the film which actually kicked off the genre boom, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, directed by Dario Argento in 1970. Within this film, we see the stock Giallo killer template utilized for the first time, a killer in a black trench coat covered from head to toe so as to not only hide the identity of the killer, but also their gender. This movie is also very sexy and is a precursor to the heavy use of sex in this genre, as well as the use of the music in Gialli, which is less focused on being scary and more interested in being jazzy and sultry. But I digress. Spoilers ahead, you've been warned. I'll rush through the previewing cliches. The repeat offenders are 1 point for actor, 3 for writer, 3 for composer, and 5 for director. Dante Di Paolo was in The Girl Who Knew Too Much, 1 point. Mario Bava also wrote The Girl Who Knew Too Much and The Telephone, 3 plus 3 equals 6 points. Mario Bava also directed The Girl Who Knew Too Much and The Telephone, 5 plus 5, 10 points. For the title, we have 5 points for blood, and 5 points for a color, black, 10 points total. First look, we have 25 points for the Italian director and an additional 15 points for the influence bonus of this being a proto-giallo. And look at that, it is plot o'clock. The film opens with an opening title sequence. This is rare, and even rarer, the sequence is actually great. Great music, great lighting, great tableaus. Never mind that it kind of sounds like what your grandparents must have gotten freaky to. Bava hits us with that total Bava-esque focus rack, so we know the sequence must be ending. Cut to a sign which says Christian Haute Couture, just as it comes unhinged. Now everybody, say it together. Symbolism. Italian locales, 3 points. This was filmed at Via Sciarra in Rome. We see what must be a beautiful fountain under decent weather conditions, and a large building with silhouettes passing through the windows. Looks like Kevin is having a party again. We see a woman run out into the storm where she meets with a man. This is Nicole. And this is Franco, and he's very obviously jonesing for his next fix. Nicole has nothing to offer Franco. He tells her that Isabella took what he had. She promises after work the two of them will get more. She leaves him with a kiss. Above his lips? That was like a friend kiss, I guess. The sign is fixed by a man who undoubtedly is also jonesing. Nicole rushes back in. A new young woman arrives in a red trench coat. This is Isabella. She is walking the last stretch to the fashion house, and she is not alone. I must say, this reveal is difficult enough to see in high definition. I can't imagine watching this on VHS. I'd be like, wait, what just happened? The lights go out. We get a first look at our killer, whose face is covered by white cloth. The woman is attacked, choked, and beaten against a tree. The sound effects make it sound like her neck is being crushed, literally. First kill, stylistic kill bonus, choked with hands, 2 points. Also, G is for gloves, black gloves, full points, 10 points total. Also, U is for undercover, 5 points. Her body is dragged away, but the movie does indulge the perverts with some gratuitous leg. I'm gonna say gratuitous art here, giving a full 10 points because I include modeling in this, and the movie is about models at a fashion house. Ching! Meet Contessa Cristiana Cuomo. She manages the models here. She tells this gentleman to not fret about the sign continuing to fall off, it can wait till the morning. The movie really wants you to be suspicious of this guy by his behavior, but as far as we know, he's just got an addiction. Character takes prescription pills or sedatives, extra if with alcohol, 10 points. Cristiana informs Massimo that Isabella is late again. Massimo runs the fashion house here. He says to slap her with a fine. Probably a joke, maybe not, who cares? Massimo gives a little smile. Is he hiding something? Maybe not, who cares? We have fashion to attend to. F is for fashion. Extra for main characters working in fashion, 10 points. We learn in a matter of seconds that Cristiana runs her models with an iron fist, and she's a widow. Cristiana finds Isabella's body stuffed into a wardrobe. Z is for zoom, extra on a dead victim, 10 points. Meet Inspector Silvestri. He's handling the case. Massimo offers next to no help. Q is for questions, 5 points. Silvestri and Cristiana know each other, as he was the one handling the case when her husband died in a car accident. Cristiana offers next to no help. That's Peggy. Who's Peggy? The questioning yields not much. Oh, this is Cesare. He makes the outfits for the models. He tells them that Isabella had a lover, Franco Scallo, snitch. Inspector Silvestri goes to talk with Franco. Franco is an antiques dealer and owns a massive warehouse filled with antiques. Franco is played by Dante Di Paolo, last seen on the channel in The Girl Who Knew Too Much as the reporter, Andrea Landini. The inspector says they found cocaine in Isabella's house, and when asked if he knew about it, Franco says no. L is for lies, 5 points. And I'll say now, because of the heavy use of the cocaine in the plot, I will graciously award illicit drug use, despite not actually seeing anyone taking coke. 5 points. Odd thought. This being an international production, and the actor playing the inspector was a German, Thomas Reiner, I must remark that he plays the role with a stoic, yet very subdued danger, which makes me think that he could play an SS officer going house to house. His performance has the potential to be that sinister and scary if the context was a little different. I digress. The models are doing a fashion show. Cristiana tries to get 2 of her models to wear what Isabella was supposed to rep, but they refuse, saying it's bad luck. I'm gonna go with superstitious yokels. 2 points. They're not yokels, whatever. Nicole will wear it. Oh, by the way, this is Marco, and he excuses himself to take more drugs. While looking for Isabella's brooch to complete the look, Nicole finds Isabella's diary, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people look concerned by this discovery. As per Cristiana's suggestion, they should turn it over to the police, Nicole asking if she could do the honors. Nicole places the diary in her purse and goes on stage to model. The movie masterfully shows the same 5 individuals suspiciously making eyes at the purse, implicating them with the audience as red herrings, each and every one. I'm gonna be generous again. E is for eyeballs, 5 points. I would normally say these shots need to be framed much closer on the visor, but this film utilizes people's eyes to such a gorgeous effect that I'll relent. Nicole comes off stage and makes a call. T is for telephone, 5 points. As Nicole tells Franco that she's found Isabella's diary, a shadow appears on the back wall, revealing someone eavesdropping on Nicole. Her feelings are that the diary could have some dirty information on Franco, and the 2 of them should peruse its contents at her place before handing it over to the police. I'm gonna guess that's everybody else's suspicion as well. Nicole comments on Franco sounding horrible from his sickness due to his addiction. This will come up. My generosity is running out, but O is for obsession here for Franco and also Marco's addiction. 5 points. I don't know if I'd classify an addiction as an obsession, but in many ways it is, so I don't want to keep bending my cliches. Then there's this beautifully shot bit here, interrupted by Nicole receiving a phone call. Franco sounds worse now and tells Nicole to meet him at his place as he is feeling more ill than before. Is this Franco? Nicole thinks so. She asks Peggy if she can borrow her car so she can go see Franco, who is terribly sick. She gets her the keys and warns her that the alarm switch is in the glove compartment. The last bit of the scene is the purse vanishing. Who took it? Nicole arrives at the antique warehouse and sets the car alarm. She calls out to Franco. A gloved hand turns out the lights, I think. The scene has these beautiful gel lights flashing, and I'm not sure whether these are cinematic or meant to be diegetic. And yes, I know that's not a proper usage of that word, but you get me. She looks all around. There's a crash, which honestly sounds like a gunshot sound effect. A box crashes in front of her. She sees the killer, who vanishes. And I want to point out that while this is cool, I don't know why they didn't edit this a little cleaner. Like why they didn't wait until the blackout to remove the killer. Dumbass. A spear barely misses Nicole. The killer grabs at Nicole. She fights him off and also manages to reveal some cleavage. The exit is locked, and when she tries to unlock it, she is attacked again. She's killed with what appears to be a spiked torture implement. Second kill. I'll generously give this a stylistic kill as a bludgeoning. 5 points. Also, now this is revealed, I'll give extra points for T is for telephone. The killer makes a call. That's another 5 points. The killer cannot find the diary, but takes the car keys. They drag the body around the corner before dumping the plate armor on top of her. I don't know why. The killer apparently knows where the car alarm is hidden and turns it off. They drive away swiftly, but are noticed by a gas station attendant who takes down the plate number. W is for witness. 5 points. Reckless driving. 5 points. And urban locales. 2 points. Peggy is dropped off, and Marco appears out from the shadows. The killer is at the fireplace when... Nope, it's Clarice, a housekeeper? Or maid? Marco confesses his love for Peggy and wonders why she is cold to his feelings. He asks for a cigarette, and Peggy suspiciously jumps up to exclaim no. She seems to have something hidden in her bag that she doesn't want him to see. They share cigarettes, but the phone rings. It's the inspector. He tells her that they found her car abandoned. He asks if he can come over to speak to her in person, which she agrees. Marco excuses himself, not wanting to be seen there with her. Once alone, it is revealed that Peggy took the diary. She reads a passage about her and how she had come to Isabella begging her for money. Apparently, Peggy was pregnant, and the implication is that she had an abortion. S is for secrets. 5 points. Isabella also writes that she'll soon ask, quote, the bastard for more money. There seems to be some extortion going on. Peggy rips out the pages and burns them, then tosses the entire diary into the fire. The phone rings. Before Peggy can answer it, she is attacked by the killer. She bites him, then the killer bitch slaps her into the bookcase. The killer pulls out a black book with fleur-de-lis pendants and writes in German, "Where is the diary?" She says she burnt it. The killer investigates this, then grabs Peggy, who attempts to flee. More slaps. The assault is stopped by the police klaxon. Typical 1970s Italian misogyny. Woman is slapped. 5 points. The killer apparently slapped Peggy unconscious, and they carry her upstairs just as the inspector is coming up the stairs. Most viewers would probably suspect the killer is a man at this point. The inspector cannot find Peggy. Cut to Franco arriving at the house of Greta and Riccardo. He tells them about the murder and tries to blackmail Riccardo into agreeing to lie about an alibi for the two of them because he fears the police will suspect him otherwise. Riccardo had apparently promised Isabella IOUs, which he couldn't pay because he is in financial ruin, which Franco is using as leverage as this information could implicate Riccardo in Isabella's murder. Franco tells them he'll call up the inspector and give him his false alibi. A is for alibi. 5 points. Peggy is tied up somewhere near a red-hot furnace. The killer arrives. She pleads with them, but more slaps rain down on her. I'm telling you, whoever the killer is, they have been wanting to slap Peggy for a long time. The killer burns Peggy's hand on the furnace. She fights back and the mask is removed. Peggy recognizes the killer, but they slowly push her face onto the furnace like it's Fulci's zombie. Killer's identity is hidden due to framing. 2 points. Third kill, and again, I will be generous by awarding a stylistic kill for burning to death. 8 points. Silvestri interrogates Franco at the antique shop. He learns about the car alarm, as well as Franco and Nicole were the only ones with keys, and presses Franco on his drug habit, to which Franco feigns ignorance.
So andiamo, scalo!
Y is for yelling, 5 points. Silvestri says he's taking Franco to his office for questioning. Outside, the police detectives are talking to the gas station attendant who recognizes the car from the night before. He believes the driver, though masked, was a man. Silvestri concludes that the killer must have known where the car alarm was hidden because the alarm only rang out for a few seconds. Cut to all the men in a lineup. Silvestri walks in with Clarice and asks her which of these men she's seen driving Peggy's car. She recognizes Massimo, Cesare, and Marco. The latter, she points out, came by the house last night before Peggy was killed. Marco attacks Cesare, accusing him of being impotent and thus hating women for his own shortcomings, then has a seizure. He's taken to an infirmary, and Silvestri detains the remaining men on the grounds that Massimo and Cesare were familiar with the car, and Franco and Riccardo's alibi is irrelevant since Peggy's murder occurred after it. Back at the fashion house, the women are wondering where all the men are. The phone rings. Cristiana learns from Massimo that the men have all been detained. The women ask to go home. Cristiana obliges. Tauli denies a terrified Greta, who asks if she can stay with her. Tauli is not worried since she believes the killer must be one of the 5 men. Cristiana tells Greta to stop being a baby, to go home, that they all have more work in the coming days, and to not worry. Greta leaves too. Cristiana watches from the balcony as Greta leaves, well, after crashing into a parked car and a tree. I'm not gonna say anything. Now alone in the fashion house, Cristiana hears wind raging through an open window, followed by a thud. A mannequin fell over. Cristiana locks herself in a room, visibly shaken. Greta arrives home and finds Peggy's body in the trunk, or boot for the British viewers at home. For some reason, Greta drags the body inside, rather than calling the police. She hides the body from her butler, Charles. Evidence seen being hidden, 5 points. Greta runs upstairs to disrobe from her bloodied clothes. The harp strums. Peggy's body is dragged away. Greta comes back downstairs and finds Peggy's body propped up, which falls onto her. The killer attacks her and smothers her with a pillow. 4th kill. Stylistic kill. I'll add smothering with an object in place here for strangling with an object. So, 3 points. Silvestri and Zenkin discuss the new murder and the possible MO of the killer, believing it now to be a sex maniac triggered by feminine beauty. To further complement this new theory, the newly discovered footprints found outside the house match casts taken earlier outside the studio gardens where Isabella was killed. Silvestri agrees that none of the 5 men must be the killer, as he has provided them with an ironclad alibi. As the men are being returned their personal effects, the black book from earlier is revealed to be belonging to Massimo. Odd clue, 5 points. Massimo looks suspicious, as if he knows what we, the audience, know regarding that book. Back at the fashion house, Tauli tells Massimo that she is frightened about the sex maniac and is leaving for Paris. He understands, then asks her if she's still living in the same house. That's not suspicious at all. She leaves. Massimo locks the door, then opens a hidden frickin' doorway behind a false bookshelf. Massimo enters the same dungeon-like room where Peggy was killed. The movie does something unique here. It reveals the killer, or killers, to be Massimo and Cristiana like 20 minutes before the movie is over. Cristiana explains to Massimo how she removed Peggy's body and killed Greta to remove suspicion from Massimo. The two are now in bed discussing their predicament. Exposition dumping, 2 points. Massimo explains how Isabella was killed because she was extorting him, to which Cristiana further explains that Isabella had learned that Cristiana's former husband's death was no accident. I don't know what they're drinking there, but it ain't J&B. While a drunken Cristiana seems blissfully unaware of any further troubles, Massimo informs her that they must give the police a culprit or else they will inevitably be caught. He tells her that she must kill Tauli and stage it as a word that I can't say on YouTube by leaving the mask and the gloves there, and he will provide her alibi. Cut to Tauli being drowned in a bathtub. Bathroom murder scene, 7 points. 5th kill, stylistic kill, drowning, 4 points. Cristiana unmasks, produces a straight razor, and slashes Tauli's wrists open. A kill is framed as a word YouTube doesn't like, 5 points. An unseen figure cuts the wire supports from a pipe running down the height of the building. The figure then aggressively rings the doorbell and pounds upon the door. Cristiana is driven into a frenzy. She disrobes and climbs out onto the balcony to make her escape. The figure making a ruckus is revealed to be Massimo. The pipe gives and Cristiana falls to the ground. Betrayal by the killer. 5 points. Back at the fashion house, we get a wonderful shot, then see Massimo frantically trying to pry open a box. Inside is jewelry. He reveals he has a revolver. He hears a sound and goes to investigate. When he returns to the room, the gun is gone. Cristiana appears from the hidden entrance, clutching both the revolver and the jewelry. She confronts Massimo and how he planned to have her implicated in the murders by having her die at the scene, reminding him how he suggested the escape down the pipe, which he sabotaged. She exclaims how he married her in secret because he was in love with her property and money. Extra points for Y is for yelling, for hysterical woman yelling. Add 5 more points here. Don't crucify me, please. It's these movies, not me. More 1970s Italian misogyny. Woman is gaslit. 4 points. See, I told you. In his attempts to calm Cristiana, 2 gunshots ring out and he falls to the floor, dead. 6th kill. The killer is killed by someone. 10 points. Cristiana dials up the police, then collapses on the floor, dying on top of her toxic lover. 7th death. No, it was actually pretty good. That is a joke. I know it's not saying fine. And that's Blood and Blacklace. When I first saw this movie, I wasn't completely blown away. I was used to seeing the more exploitation type gialli, and so this proto-giallo didn't totally wow me, although I did not guess the killer at the end. Also, I first saw it on DVD, and that DVD honestly looks like shit compared to the Arrow Blu-ray I now have. Wow. It is gorgeous. I do really like this giallo. It is a classic and should be seen if you are a fan of the genre. It is one of the more important films in the genre. It exists in this in-between of being sort of crimi and sort of giallo. Before I get into the cliches, I want to remark on how this movie had way less cliches than I thought it would. There are no knives. The killers are revealed in the final act, but not the final moments, and the last scenes you are following the killers and whether they will get away with their crimes, which is truly unique for the genre. There were several cliches which I really wanted to stretch my generosity. I could have awarded them like the murder being staged as a vehicular accident, but we don't see that. Also, despite one of the killers falling, they don't die. At least not right away, so I can't qualify that as falling to their death. I don't consider the fashion house a manor or chateau, so no point for that. Honestly, I am surprised by how many cliches I did not end up awarding the film. But you know what? That doesn't make a giallo film worse or better. But I digress. Let's segue to the GialliTally cliches for this movie. Post-giallo viewing cliches. Reason for the killing, greed and gain, and blackmail. I mean, I can only choose one, but luckily they're both worth the same amount. 5 points. Reason for investigating. Police investigator. 2 points. Bonus points. Style bonus. The movie is gorgeous and heavily stylish. There are focus racks, crash zoom-ins, crash zoom-outs, some of the best colored lighting in the genre, and a few mirror shots. Now, it doesn't go as deep as some later gialli, but considering this is the stylistically inspirational giallo, I'll go as high as 21 points. Soundtrack. Yep, 15 points. Bad effects. Actually, no. The gore looks very decent for the time, and the burning effect in particular is pretty good. The Deadpool, tallying how many kills and deaths are featured in the film. We have 7 people seen being killed or dying, with 1 killed in the past. I break it down as thus: 10 points per kill or death scene for the main Deadpool, plus any stylistic kill multipliers, which we already added, plus the knife kill bonus, which this movie did not have any. So, 1. Isabella, 10 points. 2. Nicole, 10 points. 3. Peggy, 10 points. 4. Greta, 10 points. 5. Tao Li, 10 points. 6. Massimo, 10 points. 7. Cristiana, 10 points. Extended Deadpool for those other deaths mentioned but not seen. I'll give 3 points for each, which is 1. Cristiana's former husband, 3 points. Red herrings for the total number of legitimate suspects in the film. For me, these players are the 5 individuals interested in the diary, which are Cristiana, 5 points, Cesare, 5 points, Tauli, 5 points, Peggy, 5 points, Marco, 5 points. Plus, I'll also include the men detained, the others being Massimo, 5 points, Franco, 5 points, and Riccardo, 5 points. No flashback sequences, no points. And there is no nudity, so no points there. Ladies and gentlemen, for Blood and Black Lace, I awarded the film an A to Z score of 13 out of 26. With the bonus points for these, we have a modified score total of 90 points. And for the full GialliTally score, I award Blood and Black Lace a GialliTally score of 422 points. Compared to The Girl Who Knew Too Much with 452 points and The Telephone with 254, Blood and Black Lace is in second place with 422 points. I honestly expected it to come in first so far, but like I stated earlier, these points don't mean a movie is better or worse. Thank you for watching. Don't forget the audience submissions. For these film reviews, I will be accepting memes you, the viewer, submit to me, created from still shots or GIFs from the movie with some accompanying text. The best ones I will feature in the follow-up video whilst giving you a shout out for your submission. I will also separately be accepting the best still shots from the film, inspired by the idea of every frame being a painting. This portion will be called Giallo shots. Submit any of your memes or best film frames for Blood and Black Lace to me at icaruscrispy@gmail.com. Please also leave a comment in any of my videos letting me know you've sent a submission. Once again, thank you for watching. Please like this video, share it with your friends if they are horror fans or cinephiles. Subscribe to The King in Giallo if you haven't yet. And if you have any questions, thoughts, curiosities, or concerns, leave those below in the comment section and I will get back to you. Give The King in Giallo a follow on Instagram and a like on Facebook. Next time on The King in Giallo will be the review and GialliTally for Libido. Thank you very much for your continued support. This is Tanner Leeser for The King in Giallo, and if nothing else, I'll see you next time.
Prendilo per le spalle! Calma! No! No!